Hello and welcome to the third Introduction to Meditation video class. I hope you've been enjoying this series. Now today I'm going to look a little at the principle of Ahimsa, non-violence, and how that relates to yoga practice before we embark on this week's meditation. Now I think Ahimsa is very relevant at the moment with everybody stuck at home. It's very easy to fall into some of the traps that Ahimsa helps us to move away from, and it can be a very useful practice in day-to-day life as well as relating to your yoga practice. You might want to, for example, start to look at how you might be harming yourself. Examples of this are having negative thoughts like I'm just not any good at this, or frequently making statements like, oh, I'm hopeless, I just can't do this. And in our practice we want to try and move away from these and try and think of things in a more positive fashion. And just by practicing this you can help to bring it into your life and actually move away from these negative feelings, which can be very useful if you suffer from anxiety or depression and things like this. Just a simple practice of non-violence can make a difference to people, I think. An example of this is, a particularly valid example at the moment, I think, is to be aware if you're eating the wrong foods or overindulging, eating too much, or just snacking all the time and things like this. Now, you shouldn't necessarily, you definitely shouldn't punish yourself for doing these things. But what you can do is just to help yourself move away from them a little, to excuse me, to just practice for short periods not doing these things, and see if that practice can make a difference to your state of mind and to your feelings of well-being. You could, for example, just try restricting your eating habits for a day or two and watch how that changes. Or maybe you could just self-observe and see if something makes you angry, do you lash out, and perhaps trying to just catch that moment where this feeling of anger wells up and you lash out with this violent statement or however you react, and just see if you can catch it and let go of any feelings that have arisen to cause that state of mind. When I was doing my meditation teacher training, an exercise that I did was when I was commuting. I used to find commuting very stressful, and with people pushing all around and things like this, it'd be very easy to push back or get cross with people. And I found it a really useful practice to just be aware of those moments where that anger arises and let go of it. And this just gradually brings this awareness of yourself, this self-awareness into your life, and enables you to become more non-violent, towards others but also towards yourself, because you can catch yourself also doing these same things to yourself. So just something to think about really in your practice. You could, for example, try not to impose negative thoughts on yourself or on others. You could try not to be too judgmental, again, to yourself or to others. Just don't judge yourself, don't judge other people readily, or if you do, just watch yourself doing it, become aware of doing it. Or you could maybe try to practice non-violence towards other living beings. Maybe try moving towards a vegetarian or vegan diet, maybe just for a day or two, just as an experiment to see how it affects your mental state. Okay, so now we're going to get ready for the meditation practice. So as previously, I'm sat on a cushion just to raise my hips a little above my knees. So if you can, sit cross-legged and nice and upright, but if you can't sit cross-legged, sit on a chair or anything, but just try and, if you can, sit with a nice upright back when you're doing so. Okay. Now we'll just take our feet and give them a bit of a rub the legs, foot, a bit of a massage, a bit of a rub. Okay, take the foot in the hand and the knee in the other hand and just rock that backwards and forwards, or maybe if you can just like rocking the baby like this, just to open the hips a bit before we start. Same on the other side. I'm just doing this very, very briefly, really, as an illustration more than an example. When you're practicing on your own, you might want to do a little bit more of this because you'll probably be sitting for longer. So, okay. Now we're going to just start with some step breathing before we start the meditation practice. Now, first of all, this week's mudra is Jnana mudra. We've done Chin mudra, which is this one, index and thumb, index finger and thumb, hands, the back of the hands resting on the knees. Jnana mudra is very similar, but it's up the other way. So your fingers pointing downwards, your palms are resting on your knees or your thighs. This is a grounding and connecting mudra. So it's very nice if you're feeling a bit flighty and dizzy and you just want to bring yourself back to earth. You just sit quietly with Jnana mudra. Jnana mudra. Now, the step breathing, what we're going to do here is we're going to gradually fill the lungs by breathing in little sips of breath at a time. So just visualise this as if you're climbing a ladder until your lungs are full, and then just smoothly let the breath out, okay? So, if you want to just start that, so breathe in a little, pause, in a little, pause, in a little, pause, in a little, pause, until your lungs are full, and then slowly breathe out. In a little pause, in a little pause, in a little pause, until your lungs are full, and then slowly breathe out. Now, the next time we're just going to increase that bit. We're going to breathe in as though we're stepping up the ladder, and then breathe out as though we're climbing down the ladder. Okay, so breathe in a little, pause, breathe in a little, pause, breathe in until your lungs are full, and then breathe out a little, pause, breathe out a little, pause, breathe out a little, pause, until your lungs are empty. So just try a few rounds of this in your own time. So starting now. And at the end of the next round, just let go of that. Keep your eyes closed just for a couple of breaths. And observe your breath. Just observe whether your breath has changed, whether it's slowed or deepened or any little changes. And then just blink your eyes open. Okay, so this week's meditation, we're going to do a meditation called the So-Hum meditation, listening to your breath. And this represents a transition between the listening to your breath meditation and mantras. It's not quite just mantras, and it's not quite just listening to your breath. It's a lovely little mix of the two, so I hope you're going to enjoy this. So make sure you've got your back straight and bring your hands back into Jnana mudra. And just close your eyes now. And take a few exaggerated deep breaths. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. One last one. Breathe in and out. Now let go of your breath and just allow it to come to a natural rhythm. Let your breath be as fast or as slow as it likes, as deep or as shallow as it likes. So your eyes are closed, you're sitting nice and upright now. Don't try to control your breath, but just start to use its sound as your point of focus. Notice how on each inhalation Your breath seems to make the sound of so, and how as you exhale it seems to say hum. So, hum. So on the in-breath, hum on the out-breath. This is the natural sound of the breath. Don't try to say it, but just listen to your breath as it repeats these sounds. So, hum. So, hum. Gradually your mind will calm. Notice how your mind seems to slow and become more peaceful as it connects with the natural rhythm and sound of your breath. So, hum. So, hum. Continue to listen to your breath. If your mind drifts off, just keep bringing it back to your breath. Your breath is the most natural focal point for attention. So just draw your mind back to your breath if your mind wanders. So on the in-breath, hum on the out-breath. Just check you're sitting up nice and straight and continue. So, hum. If any thoughts arise, just let them pass and gently draw your mind back to your breath. So, hum. Try to stay focused on your breath and not drift off to sleep. So, hum. Just keep drawing your mind gently back to your breath. So hum. Just gently blink your eyes open. And just shake your legs out if you need to, if they've gone stiff or start to get pins and needles. Just give them a bit of a shake. Okay, so I'm just going to close the class now by chanting 3 Om, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You can join in if you like, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Breathe in for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste. Thank you, everybody. Hope you're finding this series useful, and I'll see you again next time. So I hope you're all keeping well. And if anybody does have any queries or any feedback they'd like to give me, please do. I'm always happy to hear or try and answer any questions that you've got. Namaste. Thank you all.